Starting 3 minutes.
Hello and welcome to the SEGA Nerdcast, episode 60. I am Chris, the editor of SEGA Nerds, and with me this week we have Blake, Kopke, and Bilal. How's it going, fellas?
Super duper. Awesome. Great.
Man, it's been a while since we've been able to do a podcast, so it's great that we've been able to get the band back together for another podcast. It's almost 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. We've been able to finally get us all together again. So, man, what have you guys been up to? I'm actually broadcasting from my new SEGA Nerds headquarters, I guess we could say. So yeah, it's as you can see behind me, it's not nearly as impressive as my old podcast studio was. I don't have any shelves or any video games set up quite yet, but they're all in boxes still. We're still moving everything in, so hopefully here in the coming weeks I'll be able to get all that put up, and it'll look somewhat like it used to, hopefully even better. I would like for that to happen. So I'm slowly joining and gaining games and broadening my game collection, so hopefully it'll become more impressive.
It's going to get like a video game studio, like where you have the arcade cabinet you had, and like a special desk, and you're gonna be like hosting a TV show.
I hope so. Like you guys can see, like so we have the hang-on cabinet over there, but it's just and so it's pretty empty right now. But the good thing about it is I have plenty of room to grow. So we'll see.
Yeah, and plays a lot of games.
I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to spend as much time here as I like, but we'll see. We'll see about that. But anyway, before we kick off the show, let's go around the room and talk about what we've been up to, because it's been a while. What's that?
We just saw your room. Never mind. We're good.
Oh.
I told you I'm tired, man.
I mean figuratively. Let's go around the room, not literally.
Been around the digital room.
Well, you were here earlier today, Blake.
I was there earlier today, and it seems more vacant now than it was even then. That's probably because I was tripping all over kids playing Halo.
There were a lot of kids here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a barbecue, kind of like an end of summer barbecue to wish the kids, hey, it's the end of summer, your asses are going back to school tomorrow. So everyone's happy.
The kids. Hooray!
We wish you away.
Get out of our houses.
Yeah, so what have you been up to, Blake?
Oh, man, I haven't done shit this week. You know that. Other than going to your house. Work, well, no, not so much about work. Anything I've done this week, you've probably seen on the site. Other than that, I've been pretty much going to a class. So it's a work-related class. And I have access to a computer there, and that's why I've been able to post so much, so I'm bored as hell during that class. That's really about it.
I'm glad you've been learning so much from that class that you've just been...
I have. It's great. It's not bad. It's not bad. But my mind wanders, so it's good to have something else to waste time on.
Yeah, so SEGA Nerds definitely benefited from you being in a class where you're just wasting everyone's time, but I'm glad you were able to do that.
I can spread the wasted time amongst the world there, yes.
Right. No, while everyone else during the day, when everyone else is supposed to be working and being productive, they're just reading SEGA Nerds and not being productive, and joining you in your lack of production. So that's great.
Our new slogan will be like SEGA Nerds, making your leisure time productive.
That's actually not so bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Leisure time productive. Nice.
I like it.
I smell a T-shirt.
Right, B, what about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I finished my chemical dependency counseling, and I am supposed to start my internship now. But I'm having second thoughts, man. I've been having so much fun with SEGA Nerds and my other gaming projects. And I'm like, maybe I should pursue journalism. It's fun.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
You can always be chemically dependent and be a games journalist. I don't seem to have a problem with it.
It's a tough road if you want to get into video game journalism. That's a tough thing to get into. And you know what? It's funny because I realized that I thought that I wanted to get into video game journalism. And the closer that I got into video game journalism, the more I realized how I don't want to get into video game journalism. It's
We
just
started a video game journalistic site of sorts.
yeah. I don't consider myself a journalist by what I do at SEGA Nerds, but I would say maybe a critic more than anything else, but and someone who just writes about video games. But
I'm pretty sure that is journalism.
I don't know.
And I interview developers. And
I guess there is some okay, but I wouldn't call myself a video game journalist.
I just
As
run the #1 Sega
in
blog.
the likes of like your guys who work at like I know people may laugh at this, but IGN.
Okay, so we get it. You're not on the
those
tape.
guys.
We get it.
Well,
Right.
It's a difference.
Right. I don't know, man.
I wouldn't call that journalism anymore.
Yeah, it's just such a. I find I don't enjoy the community of within like the video game journalism community. I just it's kind of I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, if that's something you want to do, man, I definitely suggest you try to go for it.
As a whole, I enjoy watching news. I enjoy keeping up with current events, and I would like to do something productive with it. I just think it's more impactful than working with clients one-on-one. I think I can have I just feel that journalism is a bigger platform to help more people.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, it can be a huge platform to spreading news and information, and I love it. I love writing stories. I love sharing people's stories with other people. That's one of the most fun and things that I get the most out of writing and journalism. I really enjoy doing that. So if I can do that, if I can tell a story that I'm emotionally connected to and I can convey that to other people and share that story with people, I absolutely love that. And that's probably the thing that I get most out of being able to write for people. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I mean, if there's any advice or anything I can do to help you with that, just let me know, man. That sounds good.
Be prepared to review Madden.
I spoke to Kopke before I did anything. I showed him college electives and stuff, and I'm hoping to start classes in digital media tomorrow. So let's see how it goes.
Wow, no, man, you're not fucking around.
27, man, I feel old.
Sounds good. Kopke, my man, what have you been up to?
A lot. I've been working my ass in my gigs, especially with the
working your ass. I like it.
And working with Pepe Jean's autumn-winter collection, which we are gonna be launching soon, because these guys are my clients, and I have been working a lot with the runway and what the collection is going to be, and also the advertising that has to go in Latin America. So I'm doing that in this a couple of weeks. I got another gig, which is I cannot tell much about it because of NDA and non-disclosure agreement, but it has to do with the House of Ideas that makes comics, particularly a special team that assembles. So I'm working on special licensing regarding that, which got me pretty excited because I'm really throwing in a lot of geeky stuff and nerd stuff that people are going to be able to consume. I think the product is going to be aimed for the United States and Latin America, so I'm pretty excited for that. Also, I've been tracking a lot of Sega special merchandise. Certainly, some of it should be coming soon. But a friend of mine went to Chiba, Japan, to the Wonder Festival, and got me the Sega Heart Girl figure that I was so badly desiring to get. And it was pretty awesome. I made a special. I made an unboxing for the site, so you guys can check the whole pictures of it, and I'm pretty excited. It came with a couple of extras, like the special flyers and a really neat bag of the Saturn 20th anniversary, which was pretty cool. And besides that, I've been really busy with a lot of work. I haven't been able to properly go out and see the world in 2 months because of work. The only time I did it in 2 months is the day I went to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, which I really loved that movie. I really had like huge nerd moments with that movie, especially like remembering a lot of comics from the Fantastic Four, which it has a part of the Marvel Cosmic Universe. So I really nerded big time when I saw the Celestials head in that movie, because I was like, oh man, I hope they throw in like the Inhumans and the Eternals and a lot of Marvel characters that should be there. Like they got a really nice amount of cameos and seeing like Adam Warlock's Cocoon in the Collector's collection. It was like pretty awesome movie. I really had a really nice nostalgia moments on that one. I really enjoyed that, and also being like stressed out because a friend of mine from Poland came to Mexico, but I haven't been able to see her because I'm really busy with work. So I hope to calm down a little bit next week because I'm actually getting even with it with work, and I hope to finally go out and see the world after a lot of time. And that's probably pretty much what I have done in this month, which is a lot.
Awesome. I actually just went and watched Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. I was talking to someone today about it, and I think it's probably the most fun superhero movie I've seen to date, I would say. Like, it was just so good. I'm not familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so I've never read the comics or anything like that, so it's completely new to me, but I absolutely loved the story. The characters were so well done. They were so much fun. I really connected emotionally with all of them. Each one had this different personalities and things that you could kind of connect with about them. And I don't know. I don't want to give too many spoilers or anything like that away because it's still a relatively new movie. But man, that is a badass movie.
Rocket Raccoon dies. Spoiler.
What I really liked about that movie. What I really liked about that movie is that it's really light in terms of humor, and it's really enjoyable on that part. But they also threw a huge lot of Easter eggs for the Marvel hardcore fans. So I was like really enjoying that movie because of that. It has like the main story, but also through a huge amount of internal subplots that will be developing the rest of the Marvel Cosmic Universe. And I was like nerding so much on during that movie. I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite movie as Avengers, but it's really close to what Avengers is, because what surprised me about the movie is that the Guardians of the Galaxy are not a main title in the Marvel Universe. They're just like filler title, but they made a big and really great movie about this, and I'm really expecting like what can they do with bigger stuff that it's coming on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's got me like pretty excited. I was like so.
I don't know.
The next day I went to watch the movie, I was like still so thrilled that this could be happening. Like, it is possible that we can get the Doctor Strange movie, Ghost Rider movie, I don't know, throwing Black Panther in, and the thing with Thanos, man, I'm gonna be able to watch the Infinity Gauntlet saga on a movie, and I was like, so I don't know, it's like such a big nerdy thing for me, and I was like geeking out the rest of that week because of that. So my mind was just
man.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And
yeah, it got me back into like wanting to read comics and stuff too. One of the things that I found out a few years ago is that I share a name with a comic book character, Darkhawk. His real alias is Chris Powell. So I bought a few Darkhawk comics, and that's why I made a new Twitter account. It's at I am Darkhawk, just because I don't know, because I'm stupid. But anyway, yeah. So I'm really getting back into. I want to get back into comics and start reading more comics and stuff again. I always want to. I love comics, and I read them so much. I have actually a pretty large collection back at my parents' house, but it's really tough for me to get time between work, family, and the website to be able to sit down and actually read some comics. But hopefully I can do that.
Wasn't your like old like alias at Sega Nerds like Dark Savior or something?
No, that's never mine.
Okay.
Dark Savior. No, that sounds spooky though. I do want to show you guys really quickly a couple of games that I got, and I meant to give you back one of these games today, Blake. I got an Altered Beast this week, which is our current game of the month at SEGA Nerds. I got a complete copy of that, and it's one of those games that I've had off and on throughout the years, but I've just really wanted it. One of the reasons just because I love the box art for it. It's probably my favorite box art of all time. It's just so good. I mean, look at that. Oh God.
And you know what's sad? That we don't know who did it. The sad part is that to this date I don't know who did it.
Oh, it's Jesus who did it. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. Sega has no documentation on the artist for that cover, and it's like one of the most awesome covers in the entire universe.
The first back-end game.
It doesn't say.
It was the first pack-in game, but you should just say that you did it, Taki.
Possibly Rico Kodama did the artwork on it.
I don't know. We don't know who did the artwork. It should be on a book called SEGA TV Game Series, which is the previous book that had all the SEGA artwork. Now the Genesis collection by Read Only Memory will have it, but before that was the only Japanese book that had it, but I don't have that book to be actually knowing it.
What about the released SEGA art book, SEGA Mega Drive Collected Works or something?
Yeah, that's the one that's going to be having the name of the artist, but aside from that, the only other book it has is a Japanese previous one, which is really hard to get. But now that you mention it, I think I will be able to find one because my friend is at Japan, so I will be trying to get that book too.
So, and then, so another game I got was Toe Jam and Earl Panic in Punkatron, but this is the Mega Drive version, so it's like a little bit of a alternate artwork from what we got.
Better case than our flying garbage.
So the reason why I bought this, though, this is going to go toward our giveaway for Toe Jam and Earl. We're sending these off to get signed by Greg Johnson. And so basically the reason why we haven't updated everyone about the winners and everything yet is just because I've literally been waiting for games to come in to be able to send them off to Greg to get signed. It's been a little bit of a wait. So I'm going to send them off. Hopefully this week we'll be able to send them all off and get signed. He's going to give us some concept art as well to give away. One of the things is no one got them all correct, so we're going to have to go back through and try to find out who got the most correct, how we're going to give those away. So we're going to work with Greg and try to figure all that out. So more to come.
That is going to be me because I only missed one.
We'll see. We will see, Kopke. Let's go into some mailbag. We got one mailbag question in this week, and if my computer was going faster, I'd be able to go scroll through that. Kopke, why don't you take that for me because my computer's being an asshole.
I'm not able to do that right now. I'm in the worst situation with you.
Hey, is Sega calling it Yakuza 0 because that's how many more Yakuza games we're getting in the West? Thank you.
Okay, Yakuza 0.
Thank you, Blake. You are kind of man in Japan, so why don't you explain what Yakuza 0 is?
Okay, Yakuza 0 is the new Yakuza entry in the series. It's the one that has been developing since a couple of months ago. Nagoshi is not producer of this, but is like an advisor and supervising the process. They have been making a lot of auditions on actors and actresses. You know, the Yakuza series games always has this big boot girls that participate in the game. So they are making a lot of videos, introductions on that. They haven't teased a lot of what the story is about. All that we know now is that the title of the game will be Yakuza 0, and they will be showcasing this game in this year's Tokyo Game Show, which is going to happen in September 13 or 18, I think. In a couple of weeks, we're going to know, and we're going to be releasing a trailer or a teaser trailer for it. And people are going to be able to know more about this game in a couple of weeks. That's what we know. The Zero, we don't know what it is about. I think it's going to be a prequel because there wouldn't be any other reason to call it that way. But there's not much known about the story. And the joke, I can really get what the person who asked was with it. Yes, we're not getting this game, or at least hasn't been announced. And we haven't got the other one, the Yakuza Ishin. But I can understand on the
Or the
previous
other one
because
before that one.
Yeah, and I don't think
right.
it's even that important. I think the fans really just want to play Yakuza 5 because that's the arc that they have been following.
The thing with those previous Yakuzas is because the Yakuza with the zombies that did really bad, so they're not throwing interest in getting.
Game. I don't even know why
that's the thing.
So bad.
We're getting punished because of that, you know. I think.
Well, I don't think any of the Yakuza games have historically done that well in North America. I mean, even going back from when they released Yakuza 1 on the PS2, I don't think it sold very well.
Well, what I knew about it is that the second and the third one did considerably well. So the thing is that
sales were significantly much lower than the first two games did not do well, but the third and the fourth one did do well because they had the budget organized and they had found sources to make the translation more economical for them. The first game cost Sega a lot of money because they went with Hollywood-level talents, and it just did not work out.
Yeah, and then I think in the later ones, they just it was just all subtitles, right?
Yeah. I think Yakuza 3 is my favorite in the series, mainly because it got rid of all the garbage. I seriously, if I want, I don't want to play a dating sim. If I'm playing a very serious game about running an orphanage and managing children and being a gangster, I don't really have time to talk to stupid Japanese girls.
I don't have time for women's.
I'd rather talk to somebody I work with, or I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's our mailbag this week. Let's go on to the news, and Blake, you're going to be our news guy this week.
All right, hooray! Let's see. I can scroll down right here and to see. Elysian Shadows Kickstarter. Cool. They reached the 150,000 funding goal, and they still have 6 days to go before the campaign ends. So that's pretty sweet. They're sitting at about 160,000 total right now. So with that, they've become the highest funded Ouya Free the Games Fund project so far. And they've also set a record for Alabama's most funded Kickstarter, which means they represent about half of the economy in Alabama. Their next goal is the New Game Plus at $170,000, and that'll be followed by a boss attack mode if they reach $200,000. That's pretty awesome.
Just one fact right here. There are actually 801 Kickstarters that have been funded from the city of Alabama.
What? Get out!
I checked the record.
That's crazy. A lot of them are just to buy new lawnmowers and transmissions for their trucks. But one of the things, what's neat about
build a rocket to the moon.
Yeah. What's neat about the Ouya Free the Games Fund, though, is that it's this really cool program that Ouya has been doing, and they've been doing it for a while now. But it's neat because what they basically do is they create an agreement between a small indie developer and Ouya. And in order to become a member of this Free the Games Fund, is you've got to bring your game to the Ouya platform, and I think it has to be exclusive to the Ouya for a certain number of time. I think they've relaxed that with the PC. I think you can bring it to the PC somewhat close to when you launch it with the Ouya, but you also have to bring it to the Ouya. But anyway, so they match your funding goal or what you end up with on Kickstarter dollar for dollar. So say they end up with $200,000. Well, Ouya is going to kick in $200,000 and match that as well. I think they go up all the way up to $500,000 is what their limit is. So they're basically going to double what they get with Oya, the Free the Games Fund. So it's great. So right now they've got close to 160,000. That's what 320,000 that they're going to have to be able to.
They will only match your target goal. So Elysian Shadows will be receiving only $150,000. They will not match the final thing. They'll just match the target.
Are you sure? Really?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. I knew they would only go up to a certain amount. So, I didn't know that, but we'll have to do some more research into that. But
it was actually pretty funny because Falco told me when he was in the meeting with Ouya, right? So they were like, yeah, is it cool if we release it on Dreamcast as well simultaneously? And they were like, nobody has asked that question before. We don't know the answer to that question.
I can't imagine that would put a big dent in Oya sales, people going and buying it on the Dreamcast. So I can't imagine that it'd be too big of an issue. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. But hopefully they, I don't know. I have an Oya, so I will totally buy it on the way. And if they release it this year, I'll be able to get it for free too, because I subscribe to basically the Oya like all in one. You pay them $60 and you get every Oya game for free when it comes out. So I could get it for free anyway. So
that is nice.
So yeah, but big congratulations to the Elysian Shadows team. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is that they are doing their efforts to release the Dreamcast SDK kit, so that would be nice also to see. People will be able to develop more games for the platform, so it's really interesting that.
Yeah, this is a very interesting thing. As soon as they announced that, right, our German Dreamcast developer, UCast, they were like, we're gonna support their Kickstarter, and they were like, as soon as the ESTK is released, we are making an RPG as well. The developers of Dux and Redux.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good, because I would absolutely like more variety of indie games coming out on the Dreamcast other than shooters. So
let the podcast end, and I'm gonna show you what's coming out.
Sounds good. That'll be interesting to see. All right, let's keep going.
Yep.
Is it still me?
It is still you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I should have warned you guys that today my podcast persona is going to be disinterested and aloof. That's what the kids like these days. Anyway, the next thing, Pure Solar. Okay, right. Okay, cool. So everyone has been patiently waiting the release of Pure Solar on the Dreamcast and all the other modern platforms. The guys are in the final stages of bug testing and acceptance with Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. They're also, let's see, as soon as they get it done, which they expect to be very soon, they will announce the final release dates, and you'll be playing Pure Solar HD in no time.
Basically 2015.
Yeah, that's how I read that also. Everything I just barfed out equals Pure Solar 2015.
Yeah, I know people have been, you said patiently waiting. I think that's putting it nicely. People have really been wanting this game, and if you go look on their Kickstarter, there's a lot of mean comments on there for people who are pretty upset. I think most of it's just because lack of communication from, or so they say. From the Watermelon team, just that they're not coming out and explaining that the game's delayed, why it's delayed, and offering up more information. So it's just good that it seems like the game really is, like, no kidding, about to be released, because we've heard this a couple of times now that it's about to be released, and they want it to wait till they can simultaneously release it across all the platforms. And so it looks like we're finally at that point, and it's imminent.
They also have their own AIGD clone in the form of Juicy Diary, where they're showing, I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, but they're showing regular progress on the game. So they're trying to communicate, man, but indie games, man, they take time. That's what it is.
Yeah. So you guys, how do y'all plan to play this game? Y'all going to play the Dreamcast one, or are you going to skip it?
That's correct.
Dreamcast?
I think I'm going to PC. It's like the easiest way for me to get and play those games.
What about
I
you,
would
Chris?
absolutely like to get really like to get the Dreamcast version, but I think I'll probably go Oya. Well, because the reason why I may end up buying the Dreamcast version just to have it. but I want as good a resolution as I can get, and you're not going to get that playing it on the Dreamcast. You're going to get, and they talked about having some VMU-related mini games or something like that, so there could be some cool Dreamcast-related content that you can get on there, and if there's that, I'll definitely really want to play it more so on that. But I may end up just playing it either on the Ouya or the PS4 because I don't know, I'm kind of a resolution guy, so if I can get something on that.
For PC as well, so I will. Yeah, the worst part about the Dreamcast is that the controllers are wired. Other than that, I wouldn't mind playing any game on my Dreamcast. I think it still holds up pretty well.
So I think I'm actually
going to disappointed in me for saying.
I'm pretty sure I like the Ouya version of the game, you guys. I don't know, it's just funny. You're so funny with your Ouya. So
the Ouya is awesome, man. I love
it.
It's
so cute. Your little box that you love so much.
My little box that has 1 billion games in it. You need to come over and play it one day, and I'll show you how amazing it is. You asshole.
Right. I think I'm actually thinking about picking it up on Wii U. See if I throw Nintendo a few bones before they completely discontinue that thing. So it seems like a good one if RPGs be able to play that thing with the gamepad and everything. So that seems like a good one for that.
Let me tell you some background stories about from Nintendo. Like Nintendo's localization process or porting process is extremely tedious. A friend of mine from Senile team, he ported his Dreamcast game Rush Rush Rally Racing to the WiiWare service. It took him. He had the game playable and running at like Gamescom 2009, and it took him 2 years to get through Nintendo's process of getting the game released. And it debuted on number 1. It was on number 1 for 2 weeks, and Nintendo did not give him a single cent.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about pretty consistent with everything else I've heard. Although I've heard they've gotten better with the Wii U as far as how they're doing all their profit sharing and how people get money. But yeah, you had to sell a certain threshold before you even got a single dime on those original.
So if you want to support a developer, I would recommend I don't know, PS4 or Dreamcast.
Yeah, what game was it? The Retro City Rampage came out on Wii, and that's kind of a high-profile game for that service, and they didn't make a dime off that version either, because they didn't sell enough copies of it, and that's pretty crazy.
I heard unfortunately the Xbox One version of Pure Solar HD is only going to be running in 720p and 30 frames per second. Unfortunately.
Oh my god, that's 16-bit game running only at 720p.
So, you just can't handle it. Too bad.
Well, we're going to have a Puyo Puyo Tetris version on 180p and 60 frames per second on Xbox One and PS4, so I think it's nice.
Sweet. Is that the next thing? Is that like a segue into the next?
No, it's just no, not at all.
No. I'm telling you, Chris, I'm the worst person tonight to do the news. Okay, I'm just going to move on. Do we have anything else to say about that?
No.
Okay. Service games, the audiobook, the update on that. Okay, so David Munoz let us know recently. He said that the work on the audio is going super duper. We're currently 2/3 of the way done, and it should be released in August or September on iTunes and Audible/Amazon. So they're very excited about it, and that's when you can expect to see that.
Yes,
that's good.
I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, Audible's a great service. I don't know if you guys have ever used it before, but I have an active subscription to Audible. It's great because you basically pay like $20 a month, and you can get 2 audiobooks every month to download and listen to. It's really great because you can share it across all your mobile devices, whether it's on even your laptops or whatever. And some of them have an option to be able to basically like start wherever you stopped. From multiple devices, so it's kind of like cloud technology where you can listen on your phone while you're driving to work, and then you can get to your computer and start from there and keep going. It's really great. So it's neat that they're bringing this to Audible because I think Audible is an amazing service.
Now, you've read the book. You've actually read the book, right, Chris?
No, I've not.
Okay. Has anybody read the book yet?
I have read the original one that was released long time ago. I haven't read the.
Okay.
I actually wrote my high school thesis on that. Got a C+.
Wow.
What grade did you get on it?
C+.
C++. Nice.
It's not a grammar error, I swear. I quoted directly from the book.
No, I did everything right, but basically my project was on history, and I wrote about SEGA.
SEGA history.
God,
Your
we're such
professor
dorks.
was obviously a Nintendo fanboy, that son of a bitch.
Probably that's what happened.
It's a very nice book. I've read the original. I'm in the process of reading the original. Please check it out. You will come out a better person and more mature.
That's lofty. Yeah, wow.
That's a pretty good endorsement there.
Yeah, seller
Women
phrase.
will want you just for owning this book.
Throw away your Bibles and read this.
I wouldn't go that far. What's next?
All right, speaking of stuff that'll send you to hell, Night Trap revamped. Their Kickstarter's not looking good. Right now they've raised $35K out of about $330K of their goal. Let's see. They've gotten hit a few stumbling blocks, so they may have, sort of screwed themselves before they really even got started, like not providing the option for backers to select a digital version of the game, not being able to buy multiple copies, and simply just not interacting very well with the community that's backing it. So I guess as a question, like, what do you guys think about the future of this? Do you think they're going to relaunch it later on, having applied some of the lessons they may have learned from this one? Do you think 330K just may be too much to get interest up for Night Trap? What do y'all think?
That's one of the things, because a lot of people have been asking about that, because essentially they've, I think they've already redigitalized the video, or so they said. So all of that's done. To basically upscaling it and everything. So a lot of people were asking, like, why do you need all this money? And I guess they're going back in and trying to do a lot more work on the game and everything. So they have an unnamed developer that they're working with on this. So we don't really know who is actually developing the game. It's a company. So I don't know. I hope that they go back and go in and look at what made this Kickstarter fail, because I think it really was those three things that you mentioned, Blake, earlier are some big ones. Like some of the rewards were just a little confusing. Like you're like, how do you get a digital version of the game? Some people don't want just a physical game. Some people want to be able to get it on Steam, things like that, or just even buy it on PS4 digitally. There was no option to be able to do that, and it just didn't seem like it was that well thought out. And there's not, other than just like this really big, written Kickstarter description, there wasn't a lot of updates after that. They've been trying to do that in the last week or so, going in and doing things, but there just wasn't a lot. And there's also that weird anti-Nintendo thing that they had going on, where they didn't want to bring the game to Nintendo platforms, because basically it was Nintendo that kind of demonized Night Trap when it was originally released, on the Sega CD, and they basically were one of the big people behind supporting some of the congressional hearings that were trying to stop Night Trap from being sold in stores. So they didn't want to bring it to Nintendo platforms. For that reason, and fans were really upset at that, saying, hey, you know what, if you bring it to the Wii U, it would be a perfect game to be able to play on your gamepad. You could, look at, different camera angles and things like that, and have the options right there where you can kind of touch it, and it would interact with the TV. They recognized that would be a good option, and finally they said, okay, fine, if you guys really want it on the Wii U, we'll apply for a Wii U, development license and everything, and so they've done that. It just seems like they've kind of learned how to do a Kickstarter as they were going instead of doing a lot of research beforehand. So I think they're going to have to go back, kind of go to the drawing board, figure out some of this stuff, and hopefully come back with a smaller or a lower Kickstarter goal, maybe around, I think maybe the 150K range would probably be a little bit more palatable for people. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of brings me to my most recent conspiracy theory, my favorite one today, is that I think Howard Lincoln's somehow behind it all. And he's torpedoing it from behind the scenes. So.
I have never, honestly, I have never played Night Trap. I've read up on it on service games, of course. But, like, honestly, from what I've seen and heard, right, FMV games, the genre is extinct. It was never a popular genre to begin with. And the concept of the game... Honestly, like, I haven't played it, so maybe I'm the wrong person to be speaking right now. I really don't think I should badmouth a game that I have not played. But have any of you people played the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beginning to end.
And what do you guys think? Is it something that people should be excited about?
No. Well, at least in my case, I wasn't just such an enjoyable experience. It was like, okay. Fortunately, I didn't bought this.
I'm a big fan of the FMV games from that era. I know that they didn't catch on and everything, but I think it's such a neat part of really history of video games, because there was a huge movement with FMV games during the Sega CD era, during the 3DO time. You saw that, and Digital Pictures was really big on that. So they had a lot of games, not just Night Trap, but Night Trap was really one of the most notorious games, and when you say FMV games, that's kind of the game that people go back to. So I absolutely think it would be worth bringing this back and having more people experience Night Trap, because for that, just that historical piece alone. But I think it's an enjoyable game. I think it's an interesting game. You know, once you find out the way to beat it, it doesn't take that long to go back through. So it's kind of like you know, you play through the game, figure out how to do it, and there's not a lot of replay value there. But I absolutely think it's a fun game, and I do think that it's worth bringing back. So I don't know what you think about that, Blake.
So as somebody who's extremely experienced with this FMV genre, do you think, like, from a gameplay standpoint, wouldn't it be better to be more like a QTE game rather than an FMV game? If it's being remade for $300,000, you could just make it an FMV and, you know, make it like a point and click or something, like a genre that's actually functional. It is taking $300,000.
The game's functional. The game does what it does. I think, honestly, when I thought about the project being relaunched, the Wii U really did seem like the best platform for this. Because Night Trap specifically, you're looking at the security cameras and you're trying to interact with all the cameras, and there's a story going on at one point, and you have to watch that camera to actually see the plot progress, but in another room is where all the bad guys are breaking in. And so you have to swap to that other camera to stop the bad guys, set off the traps. It's very hokey. But then once you're in there, you're missing all the plot points. And it's really hard to actually watch the plot of the game and then also interact where you're supposed to interact. And if you could split that experience between those two screens and watch the plot maybe on the TV and stay on the gamepad to interact with all the other cameras and set off the traps and do all that sort of stuff there, it honestly would be a much more functional game that way. As it was not. I'm not sure if you could complete the game and really see every single piece of plot in the game. I think you have to skip some of it, otherwise you lose. And that's just the way I remember it. I don't know if it's going to catch on with any modern people. I'm sure people like myself or Chris or people who might remember it fondly enough would be interested to play it. I don't see it catching on broadly. Now I think FMV's got too much of a stigma attached to it, to be completely honest.
You're like a very passionate advocate for the Wii U, and this will actually
I have? Oh no.
I'm going to steal the news feed from you, and like, basically our next news point is that Operation Platinum. Bayonetta 2 is a mature game that has been released for Wii U, and it apparently isn't doing well enough because the fans of Wii U have started a movement to show the developers that they do like mature titles for their console after Ubisoft and Infinity Ward decided not to release the titles for the Nintendo console due to lack of interest from the fans. So given the current climate, do we like if 3D if Wii U is the ideal candidate, it already doesn't have a strong demographic there.
No, it
But,
doesn't.
you forgot, I think, sorry, Bilal, you forgot to say that they are aiming to make Bayonetta sell a huge amount of copies on that movement.
Well,
Sorry.
honestly, I think Night Trap, if it came out on Wii U now, I'm not even 100% certain it would get a mature rating. It's not a mature game. As much as a hubbub there was in the early 90s about the thing, it's pretty damn tame compared to stuff that's out now, even stuff that's teen rated. I'd be really surprised unless they added more. It's such a hokey, campy game. There really is not nearly as much sexuality as Howard Lincoln would have liked you to think there was in that game. It's pretty tame, and if it came out at mature rated now, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I think I think going back towards like this this story about getting this campaign going to basically convince 1 million people to buy Bayonetta 2. I think the very act that you have to get a campaign going to get 1 million copies sold of a game shows that there's a problem right there. So I think if it's not there, if there's not an installed user base that wants that, that's big enough to support a game, like that, I think it's just not there, and it's not the people's job to be able to go out and raise that. That's Nintendo's job, to be able to create a platform that's going to resonate with enough people to get them to buy it, and also appeal to a demographic that's mature enough to buy those mature titles. And just Nintendo, I don't think, is necessarily interested enough to do that. They're a much more family-oriented company that wants to make family-oriented video games that's going to involve the whole family. They're not about bringing in, a much older audience that is kind of the audience of the Sony and Microsoft consoles and PC, the 24 to 33 demographic or whatever that is. It's just not that. Now there have been some mature titles that have been released on the Wii U and the Wii, like Zombie U and some of the SEGA titles, House of the Dead Overkill and things like that on the Wii. They just don't sell well.
Yeah,
they're great games. They're very great games. And I'm sure Bayonetta 2 is going to be another great game. It's just not going to sell that well because there's just not very many people who own a Wii U that really, really want those games. So I think I hope, all the best for this movement. I just don't think it's going to be successful. I would be very surprised, very, very surprised if Bayonetta 2 sells 1 million copies.
It will be interesting to see, though. I mean, when you're looking at what they're talking about with Ubisoft and Infinity Ward, Activision, whatever, not releasing their games, those games are not going to be exclusive to the Wii U platform. Those games are always coming out on everything else. And if you really want to play Call of Duty, chances are you're not playing it on your Wii U. Chances are you've got another system to play it on. With Bayonetta 2 being exclusive this time around, I think there's at least a better chance that it's going to sell better than, say, Black Ops did. But considering that Bayonetta 1 didn't sell like gangbusters enough to make Sega interested enough in it to publish the second one,
they were interested.
They're having an uphill battle as it is.
I would just like to point out that this Platinum Games deal with Nintendo is just a rehash of something that Shinji Mikami's already done 10 years ago. Not 10 years ago, but at least 5 years ago, because he signed the same deal with Nintendo when he made Resident Evil exclusive to them, the Capcom 5.
Yeah.
And eventually he was almost fired in that process. In fact, he was fired, which is one of the reasons, a small reason why Platinum Games exists. He wasn't fired, he actually quit. I should just correct myself. But they already did it. They released Resident Evil 0, they released Resident Evil, and they released a bunch of other games that were all mature, exclusive to Nintendo. And eventually Capcom was like, enough is enough, Resident Evil 4 is going to PS2. Because they could not sink their biggest cash cow. So there's a little bit of history right there. Let's see how it plays out. Hope for the best, right? I want people who are working hard to have a significant return on their investment.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Bayonetta 2. I played the first one and liked it really well. I'm really interested in the second one. I'm not sure if I'm going to be one of the ones that goes out and pre-orders it and buys it immediately because I just don't spend that much money on things.
And
I
one of
personally
the few
did not
titles
play,
people are interested about. Sorry.
I personally did not play Bayonetta. I found the whole thing a little too salacious and gratuitous. Like I was like, yeah, I don't want to see her fucking naked ass in front of my face.
That's where you and I differ, my friend.
Oh yeah.
And second, if I was going to play a hack and slash Sega game, I would rather it be Shinobi or Nightshade 2, because that game ended on a cliffhanger. Still waiting.
Nightshade did? I don't
Yeah.
remember that. Oh well. No biggie.
I think you made a good point though, Blake. Going back, comparing Bayonetta and Call of Duty and those games, because like you said, those games aren't on the Wii U aren't the best way to experience those games. Playing them on other consoles that have a bigger online community is the right way to go. Playing it on the Wii U, it's a much smaller community that you're going to be able to interact with, and there's just not going to be that same level of competitiveness that people who are playing, Call of Duty and Battlefield and those kind of games typically are looking for. However, with Bayonetta, that's like you said, it's going to be exclusive to Nintendo consoles, and I think there's and they've done a good job about also kind of going and I don't want to say pandering, but kind of appealing, I should say, to that Nintendo audience with some of those exclusive, Nintendo costumes that are going to be playable in the Bayonetta 1 remake that's going to ship alongside Bayonetta 2. So I think that might appeal to some of the, the Nintendo customers out there. But I think they still have an uphill battle to hit that 1 million mark, I think. I would be really interested to see if they can do that. But I hope that they do. I definitely don't want them not to do that because I would love to see the Bayonetta series continue. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens, and if the sales aren't what they want them to be, it's going to be interesting to see if they decide, hey, you know what, I think if we move this to the PS4, the Xbox One, or even PC, sales could be a lot better. And I wonder what's going to happen with that, if they're going to have even the ability to do that with this agreement with Nintendo, and how that works, if there's some sort of exclusivity time frame tied in with there.
Right.
So we'll see.
Well, it'll be Bayonetta Ultimate Edition, and it'll have an extra weapon, and they'll pitch it that way. It'll work out fine.
Yeah. I would like her to have maybe like a Banjo-Kazooie outfit for like PS4 or something like that.
That doesn't make any sense. But anyway.
No, neither does her dressed as Link or anything else.
Banjo-Kazooie on PS4 doesn't make sense.
I meant to say Crash Bandicoot, I'm sorry. They're the same.
Well, the thing is that Nintendo pay development for this, so it's hardly going to be somewhere else. So it's practically exclusive deals because Nintendo sells the publishing it. So it's Nintendo's money that made this happen. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere besides Wii U. So it's practically doomed and hooked to the Wii U system.
Let's see. Let's hope for the best. Let's not be so cynical. I know I'm not the right person to be saying that.
Well, it's not about being cynical. It's just that it's Nintendo's game, so they have the rights to that game. So it won't go anywhere because of that.
It will be very successful one. It's a good game, and Nintendo's been trying to get that demographic. So let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, I certainly hope it will work out. Again, I'm really interested in it. I think Bayonetta is a great character, and I really enjoyed the first game. I'm just not 100% certain that it's going to be selling hotcakes for Nintendo. But if it gets systems into people's houses and they might wind up selling, more software to those players, being exclusive title, I think that's really their plan. Is that it may not sell a million copies, but people who are really excited about the game will buy a system specifically for that game, and they will buy other games along with it. And those are part of a demographic that they don't usually get, a mature audience that's into those sorts of action games. So if they can get the system into those people's houses, they'll have a few other games to sell them.
Yeah, Bayonetta 2 is one of the few games that people are really excited about for Wii U, so it might have a chance. Yeah, I agree with Blake.
Thank you.
All right. First person who's agreed to Blake so far tonight.
Hooray! Hooray!
I think that's going to wrap up the news, right? I think that's it.
Yes, please.
we'll take the mic away from you.
Just a quick news is that Just a final quick news is that Puyo Puyo Tetris is coming out to PS4 and Xbox One in Japan. Let's hope that Sega localizes this one and we get that over here because there's a lot of Puyo fan base that wants this game. But unfortunately, you are only able to play the import version because it runs on PS3, whatever the region. So let's hope that we get that 180p 60 frame Puyo Puyo Tetris over here.
Yeah. The thing is though is that I think I want to go back to that main post again, but I think they said that they were going to be offering a physical release on the PS4 and Xbox One. So it's going to be interesting to see if they come out with a digital version alongside that physical release. Because I mean, a digital one would make it incredibly easy, especially if you have a PS4, because all you need is a Japanese PS4 account. And you can go and just log into the Japanese PSN store, download the game, buy it, download it, and play it that way. Because that would be absolutely the easiest way to do it instead of actually importing the physical game. So hopefully that happens too.
What they are trying to do is to see if really people are interested enough to import this game so they can localize it, because sometimes developers do that. Like, that's why they say specifically that they are going to release physically the game first. So I think they are going to be measuring that to see how much people are interested in getting it. And let's see how it plays. But eventually we'll get into the digital store, so I think it's going that way.
Yeah, we'll hope. Let's go on to our feature discussion, and we'll run through this pretty quickly. I was hoping to do this last week or the week before when it actually took place, but this month the Genesis turned 25 years old. It was released in mid-August, 25 years ago in North America. So, yeah, it's kind of a big thing. But we've been posting a lot of great content on Sega Nerds. One of the things, it was actually Blake's idea to do this, so we'll give credit where it's due for this one time only. But we've been going and reviewing all of the Genesis launch titles. So which ones have we done so far? You did the first one, Blake. What one was that?
I've done two. I did Last Battle last week, and the first one I did was... Oh, good God. What was the first one I did? Graham did Tommy Lasorda Baseball the week before. Yeah. I did Last Battle. You're on slate to do Alter Beast.
Yes.
And I'm working on Thunder Force 2 right now.
And your brother's doing one. We have another Worrell on the site.
Yeah, we're so cursed with us.
Yeah, we can't get rid of you guys.
Oh, Super Thunderblade. Super Thunderblade was the first one I did. So I can't believe I forgot that game. It's such not a forgettable game. But yeah, Super Thunderblade was the first one, and then we did Tommy Lasorda Baseball and Last Battle. So, and now that you have your copy of Ultra Beast, you can give mine back. And
I meant to give it back to you today.
Review that game.
I'm halfway done with my review. I'm almost done with it, but I'm doing something really different as far as the review goes from what I've done before in any other review. So hopefully it will be, because basically, I mean, how many times have people reviewed Altered Beast? It's been reviewed by everyone at this point. So I want to do something a little bit different, and hopefully it'll be enjoyable for everyone. But I don't want to spoil it. But anyway, basically what I want to talk to you guys about is I want to ask you guys some of your best memories of the Sega Genesis, and some of your first memories of it, whether you got it at launch, whether you got it when Sonic the Hedgehog came with it in the bundle, or even later than that. So let's go around the room and talk about that and share some of our best memories of the Sega Genesis.
Starting with
whoever wants to go first.
I'm gonna go last because mine is a little bit longer. So whoever wants to do first.
All right, Blake. What about you?
All right, dibs. Cool. I first played the Sega Genesis at a friend's house. It was a birthday party. His name was Scott. Anyway, he rented a Sega Genesis system for his party. He had Ultra Beast with it and Air Diver with it. So it wasn't at launch because Air Diver was not a launch game. I'm not sure exactly when that was. I don't remember if it was 1989 or if it was even in the spring. I can't remember. I've lost track of that gentleman, Scott, so I don't remember when his birthday was. But anyway, so those are the first two games I actually played on the system. I was more impressed with Air Diver at the time because I thought, oh my god, this airplane thing looks so sweet. I was a really big fan of Afterburner. We had a Master System at the time, and I played the shit out of Afterburner on it. So I really enjoyed that. I didn't really play it again for a long time. I had a buddy in middle school that had one, and he had Sonic the Hedgehog, and we would play the first Sonic game when I went over to his apartment, but honestly, we didn't get our own Genesis in our house until the Sega CD came out. We actually had a Super NES first. We had a Master System, then an NES, then we bought a Super NES around about time when Street Fighter came out. And then we didn't get a Genesis until, about that Sega CD time. So I actually jumped into it pretty late. We bought the $300 Sega CD with the 6 games. And so I really don't have a whole lot of memories of just the system as the Genesis alone. But certainly a lot of the games I played early on, we did get Sonic with it. I wound up tracking down a copy of Altered Beast a couple of years ago, or a couple of years after, and I've hung on to that for 20 years, and that's actually the copy you've got at your house right now. Favorite games though. Early favorite games, Sonic 2 was a big favorite game. My buddy down the street, I managed to get him to buy a system about when Sonic 2 was out, and we would play that, and of course played the hell out of Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis at the time. So that's probably my most played game back then on the Sega Genesis would be Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Monday.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, Mortal Monday. Mortal Monday, September 13th. And gosh, it'll be 21 years since then, this coming September. So hooray, 4 anniversaries, 21 years. They don't really count.
Wow, so that came 4 years into the Genesis' launch. Wow. I didn't think it was that long.
1993.
Okay,
Mortal Kombat 2 was the next year, September 9th. So that'll be hitting 20 years this September 9th.
Wow.
That 2.
Very cool.
Great. That's pretty much it.
You want to go next, B?
Okay, sure, yeah. I was actually, I'm sorry, Blake, like the whole time you were talking, I was actually just reflecting on my own memories, trying to think.
Oh, that's fine. Fuck you too, man. That's cool.
So the thing here is, my story is similar to yours in the sense that I got like the actual Genesis or Mega Drive games. I got into them like pretty late. I'm like talking 2001. I did buy. Yeah, I discovered it like around the same time I discovered Dreamcast, and I sort of expanded onto that and played those games. In the past, it was more of a social thing, and it was actually memories that I made with friends and family that was possible through the Sega Mega Drive. Like I remember, I would go to my neighbor's house to play Streets of Rage, and he had this magazine. Like I'm talking Streets of Rage 3, and he had this weird cheat code that allowed me to play as any boss character in the game. So I actually remember playing Streets of Rage 3 as Robo X.
I do not remember that.
Exactly. This was like 15 years ago. I have searched for 15 years. I have not found a single cheat code or any magazine that had that code published. There is no way to play, because I remember he took one boss character, like not Shiva, some of the later level boss characters, and I took the fake Mr. X that burns into a machine. And nobody's done that, and I've never been able to replay that code. So that's like an anomaly, because nobody in the Sega universe would know that's possible. But I remember doing it.
That's really weird. I have never heard of that.
Nobody's ever heard of it.
Yeah,
For
me
all
neither.
intents and purposes, people are saying I'm lying or I'm coming up with bullshit, but I remember doing it. Everybody's like, what did he just say?
I was on a pee break, so I came in the tail end of that.
Of course you can play as Rue. I remember doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe you could play as Shiva.
Yes, but I'm talking about the later bosses, like the Japanese boss, the one with the horns, right? My neighbor took that character, and I took Robo X, or Fake X, or whatever he was called. and we played the game with 2 boss characters. We finished the game with 2 boss characters from Streets of Rage 3 with a cheat code that does not exist in the world. That was found in a video game magazine that also does not exist.
Well, that's weird, man. That's weird. Yeah, bring back to Mortal Kombat for a second. I remember being in the arcade, and after Mortal Kombat 2 came out, and I saw Shang Tsung do a Kano transformation fatality in an arcade, and no one's ever else seen it. My brother and I were both there. We saw it happen, and to this day, everyone denies that it's a real thing. It may have been some sort of weird board that didn't get mass distribution. Someone may have gone in and like modded the thing, but it was around the time when the game was new. So it's weird the way that kind of stuff works out, man. That's really strange. That's really interesting, though.
I think one of my, it's hard for me to remember the very first time that I really played or experienced the Genesis. It's so long ago, but I was one of those kids back then that I didn't have like a really strong allegiance to Sega or Nintendo because I had both systems. I kind of liked them both, so I didn't really get my affinity for Sega until later on. You know, after I had even after probably the Genesis and the Super Nintendo into the kind of the 32-bit eras when I really started kind of leaning towards Sega. But anyway, so we had, I can't remember even if we got our Sega before the Super Nintendo, but I remember one of the first times I remember playing a game, my friend brought over Shining Force, and he was like explaining what the game was, and I just remember being completely blown away. I loved the music in the game. It's so like cheerful and fun and cute. But also the visual style was what really captivated me because it looked like an anime come to life. And back then we called it Japanimation. You remember when everyone called it that?
I called it anime because I'd never heard anyone pronounce it correctly.
I hated that when you just didn't know. Another one that we always was Suikoden. No one ever knew how to pronounce that one correctly. We call it like Suikoden or all kinds of weird ones. But NEs is another fun one. But anyway, so I loved the battles, how the battles took place because it was this kind of quasi like live action style, like just the different ways that those played out. And I loved the character portraits. They're like these hand-drawn style of character portraits. It just looked so good. I hadn't seen anything like that in a video game before. But what was really neat about it, and that we were able to discover, was that you could get like secret characters and stuff if you did certain things throughout the game. And I really loved that aspect of it. Like I loved being able to go in and pick my team who I was going to take in a battle, and I have to leave some guys behind and everything. And the turn-based strategy aspect of it, I really enjoyed too. And I didn't really play anything like that up until that point. I think maybe North and South I played on the NES was a little bit like that. But nothing to that degree, and nothing as complex as that. I had never played anything like that before. I loved the mixture between the RPG elements, like going through the town and all that kind of thing, you know, going and saving the world, and then transferring that into a turn-based strategy game. Was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So Shining Force was one of my favorite early memories of the Genesis, and kind of seeing what the Genesis could do. Obviously, you know, the Sonic games played a big part in there as well. But as far as like one of my early memories of like, man, I really need to get this console, was when I played Shining Force. My friend brought it over, and he's actually funny because he introduced me to a multiple other games like later on. Like he brought over Resident Evil, and that was the first time. That was like the week the PlayStation launched, and he brought that over, and we were completely blown away. And that's like when we were like, okay, we have to go get a PlayStation. What's that?
I did not know it was a launch title.
It was not. Chris is blowing smoke.
It was very early on into the PlayStation life cycle. I'm very sure it was very early on. Maybe it wasn't the week of the launch, because
2 years later.
PlayStation launch games were so much worse than
Here's the thing. It might not be actually, because here's the thing. It may have been later, because what we ended up doing is after we played it, we convinced my dad to go and buy us a PlayStation. And we went to Kmart and we bought it there. And I remember a week or two after we had bought it, Sony came out with a price drop. And so my dad got all pissed off because they dropped the price. And so we went back to Kmart. And I can't remember exactly how much it was dropped. I thought it was like $100 or something like that.
Mm.
And we took it back, and he traded it back and got his money back. And then what he did, it was kind of funny. We went and bought another one for lower the lower price point, and then he bought us a game and then kept some of the money along with it. So it was just kind of a shady practice, I guess he did. But he was more pissed off that they dropped the price when he bought it, like just a few years ago.
People do that stuff all the time now. Everyone does that kind of thing.
As a consumer point of view, there should be like Apple does this all the time. They don't reveal dates of when they're releasing products, and you could buy an iPhone 5 today, and for all you know, they might release iPhone 6 on Monday. That's unfair to the consumers.
It's funny because in the Console Wars book, they actually go in and talk about that during the 8-bit era with the Nintendo. Basically, I think it was Target. What they were doing is anytime a company, they had a standard policy that you could bring back electronics, like if it ever malfunctioned, like they had just kind of like a standard warranty that if it ever broke, that you could come back and trade in, they'd give your money back for it. So what they found that people were doing is when Nintendo released the Super Nintendo, people were bringing back their NESs and saying, hey, it doesn't work anymore, getting their full refund back and using that money to buy a Super Nintendo. And then what Target would do is they would ship that Nintendo back to, or I'm sorry, the NES back to Nintendo and wanting their refund back from Nintendo for shipping a defunct product. And so that was like really a big stumbling point or hurdle between Nintendo and Target's relationship for a while. It was a very interesting kind of thing that was going on between them. So yeah, that was actually a practice that a lot of people did back in that era. And it's weird because you would never assume that you could do that anymore. Like you could bring back like a DVD player or a Blu-ray player that had been, that you've had for 4 years and it just broke, and think, oh, well, I'm just going to bring this back. You have like a 60 to 90-day warranty, and Nintendo was really big on kind of implementing that within the game industry, and really I think electronics as a whole is that 90-day warranty right there. So I don't know.
Yeah, Target I think actually refused to carry the system for a while over that.
Yeah, they did. It was pretty interesting. So
corporation.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna start on another thing. Let's hear Kopke's story. That's more important than.
Don't worry. Yes, you can throw the comment. Don't worry about it.
No, I was just saying that corporations are not always. There have to be policies in place that protect consumers and corporations, because if there is a hole in the system, right? It doesn't take a good guy or a bad guy. It's just somebody who's desperate enough to exploit an opportunity. And
oh yeah,
it's really bad. Basic psychology.
Okay. Well, okay. Like I said before, Sega has a lot to do with my family history. Well, with what my father did right with me and my brother. Yeah. And the thing is that everybody had like video games back in the day. They were playing Atari, and some of the kids in my neighborhood were having Nintendo, the first one, the 8-bit system. And we were just like, we said to our dad, like, okay, Dad, you travel a lot and you make a nice income, so everybody else has video games. Why don't we have one? So, and we mean it in the way that we do well at school, and well, you see, we kind of want one. Could you just buy us one from the United States? So he went to the old company at Texas because he had some stuff to do there. So when he came back, it was almost Christmas. It was almost my birthday in those days. It was, I think, 1998, because I actually had the Genesis on the year it was launched. A couple of months later, it was around October, November when I got it. And my father came back from his trip and opened. He came with a big suitcase, and he was like, "Okay, I didn't got you a Nintendo, guys. I know your brother is really eager to get one, but I got you guys a video game console, and I was like, okay, so what is it? An Atari or what it is? What is it? Is it that Master System the TV is always announcing? And I was like, because Master System was announced at Mexico, they had commercials, and it was in TV. There was this Alex Kidd mascot on television contest for kids, and he opened the suitcase, and he was like, okay, I went to the electronics store, and I asked the manager, what was the best video game they had in the store, so I bought that for you guys. And he opened the suitcase, and there was this 16-bit Sega Genesis with Altered Beast on the cover. I was like, okay, whoa, Sega made another console, and it was like in the box it had the Altered Beast art, and I really recognized that art because the grocery store that was like 2 blocks away from my house had the Altered Beast arcade. So it was like, whoa, holy shit! In that day, well, I was a kid and I didn't knew that what ports were all about. Like for me, it was like pretty magical that a video game that was in the arcade, I was able to play it on my home. It was like pretty shocking for me. I mean, I used to know that Mario was like a console thing, and maybe Pac-Man was into arcades and also into systems, but not this way. I mean, Altered Beast was as a 16-bit arcade and being able to System 16 arcade. Sorry, I was being able to play that at my house. It was like, okay, this is like something really different. I'm gonna try it on. And the moment I plugged that cartridge in into my television, it was like, holy shit! I'm playing something really similar to what the arcade is at my home, and it was like pretty shocked. And the first thing, like an hour after I turned on my Sega Genesis, I was like, okay, I gotta tell my nerdwords. I got this at my home. It's like pretty fucking amazing. And look at the graphics. I was like pretty shocked. And so the thing is that a neighbor came in and he said, "Holy shit, you got a Sega Genesis in your home? That's a 16-bit console. Holy shit!" And he went like telling all the neighbor kids into my street. And suddenly, after a week of having that console, everybody was like trying to play at my house because I had that 16-bit console. And It was pretty shocking. It was like I was the most popular kid in my neighborhood and in my school because of the Sega Genesis. Because my father was able to travel a lot to the United States, and he got me a lot of games. And I remember having like about 300 cartridges just for the console, and I really played a lot of that. I was never a Nintendo boy. I never had a Nintendo console. My brother was fan of a Nintendo. He actually had some Nintendo consoles, but I never ever have bought or even had a Nintendo console. Well, I have one. I have the Nintendo Game Boy Advance because a friend gave it to me, but I never actually went to a store and paid for a Nintendo console. After having that Genesis and having experienced a lot of games for that, which was practically my childhood, I went hardcore Sega fan because of that. And I got really sad when I was never able to support the Sega Saturn because I was never able to actually buy it here. And thanks to Chris, I have one. I really owe you on that one. It's really hard to get it here. The thing is that my father, the Sega Genesis was like a way for my father to connect with my brother and me because we weren't very close. Yeah. And I said that before, and he always tried to make a connection through us, like giving us certain Sega games so that we behave or like rectify in some of our actions. For example, the most I can remember is that my brother and I used to fight a lot, and by fight that we mean, I mean we actually punch each other like really hard and actually trying to go through to each other's throats. And my father came in and came back from Texas and with Toe Jam and Earl, and he said like, okay, I bought you guys this game. It's a game about cooperation. There's no other. I asked the manager, and there's no other way you guys can't beat this game if you guys don't cooperate with each other. And he gave us Toe Jam and Earl, and we actually did that. It was like playing that thing alone was no fun. And actually, after Toe Jam and Earl, my brother became my player too, and it was like always fun to play with him, like getting Sonic 2 and playing with my brother, like getting like games like Street Fighter and this like Terminator 2. We bought 2 Manacers just to play like in the arcade on our home that game. Like, man, I remember buying so many games and having so many experiences. Like, for example, the guys at Nintendo had all the Disney Afternoon series, which I never had, but I had Castle of Illusion. I had World of Illusion. And one game I remember the most of the Disney series was Quackshot. I really loved that game. It was like an RPG and platform adventure game, like having to go to a country, then to another country, and having to solve certain puzzles and having this RPG system where you talk to another Disney characters. I really mastered that game. Like I played it like a month ago, and I'm still really good at it. I can get to the final boss without losing a level or being hit. I memorized that game. I'm so good at it, and it is actually the game that I'm best at on the whole SEGA Genesis library that I had. And for example, my mother hated the SEGA Genesis because I actually spent more time playing games than actually studying. I was good at school, but my mother actually hated it. And each time I went to a vacation or to camping or to something that I had not to be at my home, she always took the time to throw away most of those games. So I had to repurchase a lot of titles, and it was really hard for me. I actually had to hide certain games. I remember like hiding 30 games under my bed so that she didn't find them, and I was able to still keep those games. And sometimes, due to I have so many games, like many neighbors were envious of me. So the thing is that each time I went out or on vacation, most of the neighbors came to my house and said to my mother, "Can I go to your son's home room?" And by the time I got back to my house, I noticed that these guys stole most of my games. I was like really pissed at that, and I remember like having actually to fight some neighbors like in punches to get back my games. And there was like, sorry?
Give me back my Sega.
Yeah, it was like my game. Why he had to steal it? I mean, let your dad buy it for you.
I can relate to your stories like so much. Yours is a little bit more extreme than mine, but I remember when I would go to school, right? I would come back home, go in front of the TV, and the Genesis would be gone. He hid it.
Oh man, that's sad. And the thing is that
you just hide it until I would do good in studies and then give it back.
Yeah, I hid a lot of games. And actually, there was this time where I like hid 10 games. And by the time I got back, I was like, man, where did I left it? And it took me like 3 months to find them again, because I had to be good at hiding them. The other thing is that games in Mexico were kind of hard to get. You had to either go to United States or like buying them in black market. And I remember in black market they were almost at the same price of the United States one. So because in that time Mexico had a currency about each dollar was like 3 pesos, so it wasn't that much. So I was able to either buy many games when I was traveling with my father, or my father bought them to me, or I got them in the black market. So the other thing is that the black market had a lot of games, like Japanese ones, European ones, and American ones. So what they did, they also sold you a thing called the Mega Key. And that way you were able to plug any kind of cartridge, Sega Genesis cartridge, Mega Drive, or the Brazilian ones, into your regular American console. So I remember buying Monster World 4, which is a Japanese game that I still have. It was really, I got like really impressed of what a 16-bit game can do because of that game. And I remember like having many anecdotes of the way I played Sega Genesis cartridges. Other one that I remember really much is the time when Sega launched Sonic 2, which was the Sonic Tuesday. I remember that my father took me to the United States on launch date, and I actually bought Sonic 2 on the launch date. So I got Sonic 2 in Mexico on November 25th. And the thing with Sonic 2 is it was the Sega game that everybody in my country was hyped about. You go to a school and every kid was like, holy shit, I want Sonic 2. Like people were buying like Game Pros to actually know about Sonic 2, we actually saw this Hidden Palace level, which never got to the real one, and everybody was like questioning why this GamePro had this particular screenshot of this level, and this level never made it to the final game. So it was kind of those questions that Sonic 2 raised. But everybody was hyped about that because by the time Sonic 2 got out, everybody was like, okay, Mario's fun, but Sonic is cooler, and you know, Sonic makes Mario look lame, and people were having Super Nintendos, but weren't enjoying Super Mario World as much as they were enjoying Sonic. And everybody at my school, I remember, like, everybody was like, at my grade was like, oh, holy shit, Sonic 2 is coming out. Did you watch the Electronic Gaming Monthly or the GamePro? Like, it had like a lot of screenshots on Sonic 2, and you know, it has like this new character. It's called Tails, and everybody was like, oh, I need to get the game. But the thing is that I got the game on the launch date, and I had it in Mexico on on November 25th. I remember going to my school, and I was like, oh, okay, guys, I need to tell you something to my classmates. I was like, I got Sonic 2, and everybody was like, no shit, you're kidding. Like, you just stop lying, you loser. And I was like, no, really. And I took it out of my backpack, and everybody was like, holy shit, he has Sonic 2. And you know, in a couple of hours, I was like the most popular kid at the school. Everybody was like talking to me because they wanted me to lend them Sonic 2 for a couple of days to be able to play it. And I remember I became such a dick with that game because I had so much power in my hands, and I was like, I remember making a kid. I remember making like blackmailing a kid, like saying, okay, I'm gonna lend you Sonic 2, but you have to lend me 20 games. And he was like, holy shit, where am I gonna get 20 games? And I remember he bought 6 extra games just to be able to lend them to me and to be able to play Sonic 2. And I was like, oh, okay, this is too hardcore for me. And I was like,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I had to slow down after the Sonic 2 incidents because there were many of those. Like, people really were eager to play that game. And every kid was like, and I was like really a dick because I was a kid with the most Sega Genesis game at that school. And everybody was like always asking for me to lend them games. But you know, with the things with my mother and my neighbors like coming out for my games, I wasn't very open to lend those games. And I remember that I made many kids like getting into Sega, like many other kids were buying their Sega Genesis or getting games at United States or going to black markets to buy them, because Sega Genesis had a proper distribution in Mexico. You actually go to the department store and buy the console and buy certain games. But there weren't many titles. You know, if you really wanted to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyper Haste, the only way you were able to get that cartridges was going to the United States and actually purchasing one because it wasn't here. The game that had most copies here was Sword of Vermilion, and everybody hated that game because of that. If you go to Mexico and you talk about that game, everybody is going to talk shit about that game. They hate that game because it was the one that it was sold the most in most department stores, and they hated it because it was in our heads it wasn't a game as cool as Moonwalker or Castle of Illusion or Golden Axe or Streets of Rage or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which everybody was so hyped about, or Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. Sonic 3 was really hard to get here. Sonic 1 and 2 were really actually sold here, but everybody hates Sword of Vermilion. That's another anecdote of that. I remember like playing a lot Streets of Rage, and I remember I never had the 6 controller pad, so everybody at my home was like pushing start and then getting kicks on the fighting games like Final Fight or like Street Fighter or Super Street Fighter. And I remember like having a lot of discussions between which looked better, like the Genesis versions or the Super Nintendo versions. And most of the time I won because, I don't know, there was the thing that everybody loved the way that the sprites looked on the Sega Genesis instead of the Super Nintendo ones. And I don't know, it was like the best time for me to be actually a Sega fan because Sega kicked ass in that time. And you know, there were so many games, cool games that people were able to experience, and some other than don't. And you know, it it was really cool, like having all those games, actually being able to share that and playing the most with your buddies or your friends or your neighbors or whoever came, and actually start leaving other memories than just the game, and experiencing the stories and stuff like that. Like when Rister came out, it had like kind of a different contrast on colors, and most of the things have influenced me on the way I draw or the way I write or stuff like that. So I don't know, it's a really special time for me. So SEGA Genesis has like a deep bond on my childhood.
Cool.
Wow.
Sure you don't have any other anecdotes for us?
Yeah, I have.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No more.
No, there's a really short
I'm
one.
cutting you off.
Yeah.
I have a really short one. Is it like I said, I was like, people came to my house to play SEGA Genesis, but there was this girl that was like really hyped about the games or RPGs. So I remember like buying the Shining Force, which I was not much of a fan, but she played a hell lot of Phantasy Star 2 and Shining Force, and she became a really huge fan of Sega because of that. And I remember when I suffered of not getting a Saturn, her father got her a Saturn, so I was able to play a lot of Saturn games because of her. And she was really good at Virtua Fighter 2, and she got a lot of all the rare Sega Saturn titles. I made her buy them. Like, I remember buying Game Pros and saying like, okay, look at this game. It's called Panzer Dragoon.
Wondering what Saturn stories you would have to share when you started talking.
Yeah, I was like, okay, look at this game. It's called Panzer Dragoon. It looks really cool. I think it might look good in your library. You should get it. And I was like pushing a lot, and I was like, okay, I finally got Panzer Dragoon. So come to my house and play it. And I was like, yeah, made her buy games for Saturn.
So that was our little retrospective of the SEGA Genesis. Kind of sharing our favorite memories, or Kopke's favorite memories of the SEGA Genesis.
Yeah, hell
And the Saturn.
And the Saturn.
But shared all of
Maybe we could just keep going and go to the Dreamcast too.
I got a Dreamcast launch day. Really interesting story. Fuck off. I'm not saying it.
Yeah. Please don't.
I actually remember Kopke's Dreamcast story. I think he shared it with us a few podcasts back. I did a news post on it. It was pretty good.
Oh, let's insert that right here. Let's edit that in.
The 25-year anniversary of the Dreamcast. We'll talk about that one again. So I think that's going to do it for us for this week. We're running a little long, and tomorrow is back to school day, so I got to wake up really early and get these kids to school. So my time for the podcast has come to a close. So we're going to get going here for this week. We're going to try to get back to our regular weekly show. Hopefully we can do that. It's just been kind of crazy with me moving and everything. And actually, I didn't mention it at the top of the show, but I'm going to be going to Europe here soon for a few weeks.
Nice.
So I'll be going to London and a few other places in and around Europe. So I'm hopefully able to hang out with. What's that?
More Graham time.
Yeah, hopefully I can hang out with Graham for a little bit. He can show me around London and show me some of the cool retro game spots in England. I definitely want to.
You should go to a restaurant.
So basically what Chris is saying is that he will be getting Headhunter, Shenmue 2, and Rez for every staff member.
I have Headhunter on Dreamcast already. Graham got me that one, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can find some good stuff. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week, and we will we'll be back here soon. Everyone, have a good week and take it easy. All right.
Bye.